Something a bit different for today's episode. Come down to MARSTON Fields Fishery. We've been really struggling the past few weeks to get out filming with all of the weather or work schedules. It's been a nightmare. For a break in the weather, a free day off work, decided just to come down and show you how I've been catching on elm recently. I've had some great success using this method, targeting mainly on Elm Lake. I've been targeting the big bream, which average £2 to £4. They tend to get neglected. Everyone fishes for the carp, and you can do a right weight of them in between the carp. I've tried to come up with a method that I can target the bream as well as the carp. So what I've come up with, casters, my favourite bait of all. I'd pick them over pellets any day of the week. What I've been doing is I've been fishing them at 5 metres, ground bait, loose fed casters, and either maggot or caster on the hook. Rig wise, because Marston is quite susceptible to the wind, you get quite a bit of tow, and with it only being sort of 4.5 foot deep, I've found the bigger rig, 0.5 chimp style float with reverse tapered shotting is by far the best. I've just gone down to a 16s hook with either single maggot, double maggot, treble maggot, double caster, whatever they want on the day. Elastic, standard, ever faithful, hollow fighter elastic, 10 to 12, soft enough for the bream, handles the carp fine. 0.20 down to an 0.15 bottom. Ground bait wise, this is what we mixed earlier. It's just a mixture of, it's personal choice really, but mine is, I like a green fish meal based ground bait, and then I'll mix that 50-50 with a sweeter crushed expander type ground bait. This has been soaked and riddled, and you can use that as is and it'd be absolutely fine. Me personally, I prefer to use my ground bait over wetted. I just find it's heavier, and they're less likely to come off the bottom and start foul hooking them, and so I just over wet it. So basically, there's your ready ground bait. Just add a bit more water, basically to the point where you think it's ruined. Keep mixing it up. And because this ground bait mix is crushed expander based, it will soak it up like a sponge. But you want to try and get it to that consistency where it's just before it becomes a slop. Keep adding little bits of water, little and often, bit at a time. And I have found, especially here, you do foul hook a lot less fish, because that stays in a bull's eye on the bottom. It'll sink like a stone, and it will sit on the bottom like that and break down really slowly, and then you'll find the fish will come in and they'll have to peck away at it. And then I've just been literally loose feeding casters over the top, keep some bait and some noise trickling through the water. So basically you want it to that sort of consistency. You can add more water throughout the day because it will dry out. And that's basically it. As I say, we've come on elm today. The carp are spawning because it is susceptible to the wind here. It takes the water a lot longer to warm up, so the carp have probably only started properly spawning over the past week down here, whereas other venues, they've already done it. With that in mind, I'm hoping, we are pleasure fishing today, we are the only ones on the lake, so we're bound to get carp at some point. I'm hoping I can get you a few of the other fish that are in here just to show you what's in here. There's, I say, there's bream to £2 to £4 on average, there's no small ones. There's hybrids to £2, there's carp up to £20, ruck loads of them. There's tench from like 4 ounce to £1.5. There's perch up to £3. There's stamp roach 6 ounce to £1. There's everything, and nobody seemed to fish for them. So I come up with this way a few weeks ago, tried it out. I've had weights up to £100 of just skimmers before the carp have turned up. But on average, you get 10 to 12 skimmers, you've got 40 plus pound. And in a match, that can make a massive difference if them carp don't want to play ball. So we'll see how we get on. This is how I'd normally kick off the swim. I am a big fan of feeding. Sometimes can get a bit giddy with it, but I can't help myself. I just love to feed. So I'll kick it off with full. I think these are 2 50ml pots, just full of sloppy ground bait. Ship that out to our mark. It's 2 plus 2, which is about 5 metres. Once I've got the cup in the water, I will ship back with 1.5 foot, just because I have found you catch a lot of your fish on the back of your feed, which is quite common with the bream. Once you've dumped your ground bait, just throw a few casters in, just to get it started. Now Dale, Neil, Steve and Si probably took over this place probably 18 months ago, I'd say, maybe 2 years. And they have done a lot of work since they got here. When I first come down, when Dale had just took over, and he took me around on the buggy, took me around the whole fishery, gave me the rundown of what he had planned, and it's a lot of work what he's got planned, but he's stuck to his word and he's done it. He's remodelled Laurel's Lake, he's remodelled Sycamores, turned that into 2 lakes. You've got Willow, Elm, you've got the Winning Ways Lake just over there that's being built. You've got Oak. They've put in a lot of graft, and it is starting to pay off now. They've stuck to their stocking policy. They told me they was going to stock it, and that's what they've done. Laurel's is more carp and F1s, and he's just put a ruckload of silvers in. Elm in here, I've told you what's in here. Mainly carp, big bream. Willow's big carp. Oak has got everything in. If you want a day's fishing, you go on Oak. There's like stocky F1s, there's loads of skimmers, carp. Sycamore, they've just started remodelling again. They've drained Sycamore 2 at the minute, and they're redoing the bottom, turning it into 4 separate lakes, I think he said. And then they're going to have full control of the stocking and what goes in there. Like most fisheries, it takes a good few years to settle down and bed in. But some days you come down and the fishing's ridiculous. The minute it's a bit harder because they are spawning. But normally on average, you come down, you're going to get bites. You'll have a day's fishing. I do like it here as well because it is different to the normal commercials. You can't come down here and sit on a top kit all day and have a bite or chuck, because it just won't work. You've got to work for your bites. You've got to work out how they want it, and that's half of the appeal for me, because you actually have to work out and you get rewarded for the effort you put in, which is nice. So we're going to kick it off. Double caster's been by far the best bait for the bream when they've been there, but I like to kick it off with maggot, just because you catch whatever's there basically till the bream rock up. I have found as well That chopping and changing your bait works well for picking off bonus fish. So like treble maggot, you'll have a run on that. Double caster, you'll have a run on that. Single caster, single maggot. Just keep changing your hook bait to keep the bites coming. A lot of your bites as well, like with most bream fishing, they come on the settle. Another thing I'd say, because Marston is susceptible to the wind, it's so open and exposed, which to be fair to him, he's dealing with, there's big high mud banks going up and there's trees being planted all around the fishery to kind of act as a windbreak. But the fish do prefer it with a ripple. You will catch them on a flat calm, but they definitely prefer it with the ripple. You tend to generally start off, you get the small perch, because there is ruck loads of them in here, which they are netting this winter and taking them out. But don't be put off by catching them. Once them bigger fish move in, they'll soon move out the way. Marston's also a really good fishery for anyone that likes mixed styles of fishing, because you have got a bit of everything on every lake. You've got your rod work with a method tight to the islands, or your bomb 3/4 of the way across. You've got your wag fishing if you like your wag fishing, either tight to the island or over your bomb line. Loads of your pole work, short pole, long pole, shallow, margins. The margins are quite shallow. It's a bit like fishing a beach. So you tend to fish it to cover or fish it over depth and lay it down the slope. I'll also try and get a video later before we go to show you the work they're doing to the infrastructure around the fishery as well. They've had all the roads done, so you can literally drive behind every peg, which is a massive plus to some people, especially the older generation. You can park behind every peg on every lake. They've got the currently being built, they've got 150 to 200 seater calf sports bar type thing being built, proper toilet blocks. They're gonna have a fully stocked bait shop as well. As I say, every and a calf for the fishermen, as well as like a bistro type bar type place. As I say, everything they've said they're gonna do, they've done, or they're doing. You can't fault. I've been spending a bit of time down here this year. I like to mix up my venues. I'm not one for going to the same venue week in, week out. I like to have probably a handful of venues that I can alternate throughout the year. But I have got the Summer League I'm currently in down here, which is on Elm, spread out obviously over the whole of summer. So I've been spending a bit of time down here just to keep in touch with that in mind, because as with most of these events, there's some big money to be won. But I do like to mix my fishing up. Time to get a few signs of life now, which we expected because we're pleasure fishing. I think the first few fish will be perch, tench, maybe an odd bream until they properly find that pile of bait. But I don't think it will take them long to find. Yeah, first bite. As expected, little perch. So many fish in here though. That's why I prefer the natural baits, maggots, casters, because you can target everything, catch everything that swims. But you also know at some point, them carp will turn up for a munch. But by then you could have, the other week for example, I fished one of the open matches here on this lake. First 4 hours I had 39 bream, a couple of roach and tench and perch in between. Before the last hour when the cart rocked up, all on the same line, fishing this exact method. And then 39 bream went £99, which I didn't know at the time, but that would have won the match on its own. But they then also had a £70 of carp in the last hour, which obviously boosted the weight up massively. The only downside is the bream don't tend to like it when the carp turn up. You could have a run of 4 or 5 big bream, and then you'll have a rogue carp, and the bream will vanish for half hour, 40 minutes. So in an ideal world, or ideal match, if you can have 3.5, 4 hours catching them big bream, and then have your carp arrival late on, chances are you're going to be up there. Don't be put off as well with catching the perch early on. I don't mind it because I like to be kept busy while I'm fishing. I'm not a fan of fishing the method or the bomb. I will do it if I have to, but I like to be kept more active. Keep the faith, and the bigger fish will turn up. I'll look to carp. I don't know if the camera will pick it up, but I'll try and get you a shot of the margins. Because the carp are really going for it at the minute. They're either cruising around in twos and threes, or they're having a go in the margins around the island. Feels a bit better. Didn't take too long. Feels like a tench. Oh no, little stocky. Not ideal when you want some bream, but we'll take it. Now these are one of the self-bred ones. 18 months ago we were catching these probably 3 ounce. These are the ones that have self-set. And they are fin perfect, these little stockies. There's not many of them in here. They're mainly in oak. But they are beautiful looking fish. Just proves how good the water quality is and the oxygen levels, which is a plus side to having the wind. Just try double caster. I will also say, fishing this way, I have tried multiple lines. So one at 5 meters, one at 9 meters, or 10 o'clock and 2 o'clock. And you do catch on it, but it tends to split your fish, which I'm not a fan of. And because those bream are in and out all day, you don't sit on them from start to finish. You don't want to miss that arrival when it happens. But on a normal match, I tend to just stick to the one short line. I still have my rods for over by the island. Maybe a long, shallow line, depending on the weather. But short line, I tend to just stick to the one. Stick all my eggs in one basket. And the past few weeks, it's been paying off. I've had some great results. I've framed probably 3 of the last 5 matches on here with just silver weights. But that's the difference when you've got stamped silvers. You can have a run of them bream, 6 or 7 in one little visit at £2, £3, £4 a piece. Doesn't take long to build a weight of them. You have 3 or 4 visits a day. Starting to see some signs of life. This is one of the smallest skimmers I've ever had out of here, which goes against everything I've just told you. But that is one of the smallest ones I've ever had out of here. See if we can get you one of them proper boys. And that was just swapping to the double caster from the maggot. As I say, most of the success I've had with the bream has been on the double caster. And then once them carp do rock up, once them carp rock up in numbers, you can kiss the bream goodbye. But once that happens, I will swap to treble maggot, big standout bait. See if we can get his big brother. Not the most ideal weather for skimmers. Baking up day. But we have got the ripple, which is nice. Fish down there now. Loads of indications. All on the settle as well. If you are getting a lot of bites on the settle, it's quite common when you're skimmer fishing or bream fishing. Don't be afraid to keep relaying your rigging. I tend to stick to 30 seconds. If I am getting bites on the settle and I haven't had one within 30 seconds, lift your rig out and relay it. You'll be surprised how many extra bites you can get. Keep that little trickle of casters going in. Covered in bream snot. The liner. Doesn't take long for them fish to pick out that bait. Indication every drop now. Feels like another stocky or a tench. That's what I love about this lake. A lot of people come here and fish the rod, and a lot of their fish they catch are accidental bream. Nobody really targets them, so you got it yourself pretty much on most matches. Might be a couple of others that have got a short pole lining, but I just don't think, with the size of the fish, I don't think you can neglect them. This is a tench, I think. I mean, these just are beautiful fish. Catch them, but nobody's fishing for them. That £1.5, maybe £2. Well worth catching. As I say, castor is my all-time favourite bait, whether I'm fishing it shallow or on the deck. Everything loves casters, and I would pick them over pellets any day of the week. But you've also got to get good casters. I'm quite lucky. I've got Smithy's Angling Centre in Longbridge, Rubery, which I've been going to since I was a kid. And Scott, the owner, he does make brilliant casters. Turns them all by hand, does them all himself, goes in stupid o'clock in the morning to get them run off. And they are some of the best casters you can get. But once you've found a good caster supplier, stick with them. I see some people's casters on the bank and they're just awful. Could this be our first bream? Or is it a carp? No, it's a carp, I think. Definitely a carp. That's a bream, it's a record breaker. Just proves though, I know we're pleasure fishing. But in the space of 15 minutes, we've had stocky carp, proper carp, tench. They're one of the smallest bream in here, or skimmer. One has just woke up. What I love about this Garbolino fighter hollow elastic as well. It is amazing. 10 to 12, this one, the yellow one. Just stretches forever. Soft enough for them smaller, softer mouth fish like your bream, like your skimmers, and little tench. But once you hook a big fish, a couple of pulls on it, it just powers right up. Land anything. The old big boys this is. Again, double caster, catches everything. I know a lot of people moan about the price and But you don't need a lot. If you come down here with casters and ground bait, you'll need a couple of pints of casters. That's more than enough for the day. What? A couple of pints of casters, 8-9 quid. Same price as 3 bags of pellet. The difference is the caster will catch you everything that swims. So healthy these fish are. Scrap like stink. Especially when you get them in the shallower water, when you get them closer in. That is a big old warrior. Double figure fish. To prove you haven't got stupid with me, that 0.15 bottom to a 16 hook. 10 to 12 elastic. Take your time. Try and hold him up for the camera. Lovely big Marston Fields lump. Get him back. He goes. Right, we've just had that big carp. I've just left it for 10 minutes because I had to put some sun cream on. Get the old factor 50 out. Because it is absolutely baking today. It's still only 9:30 in the morning, but it's 20 odd degrees. I'm going to put signs of fish, and if them carp moved in, it won't take them long to clear the bait out. I'm going to put another 200ml pot in. Find our mark. Empty it out. As I said, that ground bait, over wetted, sinks like a stone. I will say, with the ground bait mix, I personally love using ground bait, but I was chopping and changing my mix to try and find the right one that suited me and what I was looking for. I settled on, I do prefer a green ground bait, dark green. I think the fish are a lot more confident over a dark green ground bait than the other colour. But I was looking for a high fish meal content ground bait, also something sweet to mix it with. As it's just a confidence thing, but I've got so much more confidence in a sweeter mix. So I settled on straight away. I settled on the mainline green supreme mixed with the Sonu Bait Super Sweet, which for anyone that that's used it before, it smells beautiful. But I was finding that I was spending a ridiculous amount of money on ground bait. So what I did, I sourced out one of the blokes who actually only lives 2 minutes from me, his little warehouse. He supplies a lot of the fisheries and a lot of the shops with their pellets. He imports them and then sells them on the screttings and the coppums. But he also makes his own ground bait. He orders in sacks of the expanders. He's got a big grinder and he crushes them. He makes boilies as well for the carp boys and all that type of stuff. But he can make it any colour and flavour you want. So I had a word, popped down to his little warehouse, had a word with him, told him what I was looking for, and I settled on a crushed expander betaine green. I had a 20 kilo sack of that, and I also had a 20 kilo sack of caramel flavour with a bit of Himalayan rock salt mixed in with it. And to be fair, I love the mix. And cost wise, because you're not paying for the badge basically, or the logo, the brand, it works out a damn sight cheaper. So for my, whereas I'd probably be using, I don't know, 2 kilo match on average. What's that? That's probably, lump yourself there, that's probably 10, 12 quid a match. Because I've brought it in bulk direct and I've had it made to the requirements that I want, it's now costing me about 4 or 5 quid a match. So if you are a fan of tinkering with your baits like I am, chopping and changing and messing about with it, it's definitely worth doing a bit of research. I am planning on, because he does do every flavour, and there's a whole range of the sweet. You've got Brasem, you've got Tutti Frutti, you've got Scopex, you've got your salted caramel. I am planning on having another tinker. Plus side, with it being crushed expander based, it soaks up the water like a sponge. Carries on soaking it up throughout the day. So you can't really ruin it. A lot of fish down there now. I've seen there's a lot of perch, but there's a lot of fish down there. Yeah, you can't really ruin your mix. And if you do want to use it as a slop, if you're fishing shallow or you just want to cloud the water up, you can proper over wet it. There's a lot of perch down there. Which I'm hoping, if the perch are down there, it means the carp ain't. So I'm hoping the carp have had their little visit, cleared out. Not the most ideal conditions, as I've said, bream fishing, bright sunshine, no cloud cover. I'm hoping I can snag one of them for you. It would be nice to show you what I'm on about. But at the minute, we're getting a biter chuck, a fisher chuck, might only be small, constantly putting stuff in the match, constantly keeping that net ticking over. Because carp do love casters and ground bait, you know at some point they're going to rock up in numbers and have a munch. I mean, you can come down here. A lot of lads come down, chuck the method tight to the island, regular casts. If you do like that style of fishing, then go for it. You will catch on it. But for me personally, I'm not a fan of just staring at the tip all day. Don't mind on a natural venue, in your traditional feeder fishing, like Kingsbury Water Park or Earlswood or somewhere like that. On a commercial, I just prefer to be kept busy. And the little tench. A little bar of soap. Beautiful little fish. If you've never been down to Marston before, I will say just pop down. Even if you're not going to fish, pop down. Dale, Steve, Neil, Richo, speak to any of them. They'll all quite happily take you around on the buggy. I'll show you the whole fishery. As I said before, you can park behind every peg. Accessibility wise, can't grumble at all. Diverse mixture of fishing as well. Bit to suit everyone. Plenty of bites. Before we go, grab Dale. I know he's on the digger up there at the minute, helping them finish the Winning Ways lake off. But I will try and grab him. He knows more details about the calf and the bar and the shop. I know we spoke to the gaffers, Garbolino, Si and Coxie. He's got an account sorted with them ready. I know we spoke to Adam at Guru, one sorted with them. Obviously with the fishery being sponsored by MAP, he's got an account sorted with them. And from the sounds of it, he's going to have a good supply and a good stock of everything, of all the companies. I will get a video for you of the, they've only just done the structure. It'll give you a general idea of the size. It is going to be a massive shop. And I think, if I remember right, they're going to do their own bait as well, fresh bait, maggot and casters. So you will pretty much have everything you need to fish will be available. For any of disabled anglers in wheelchairs, they have got plans for a lift to be fitted, because the Calf Bistro will be upstairs and there'll be glass fronted overlooking the lakes. That will be accessible for wheelchair users as well with a lift. 2 sets of toilets as well. One will be based in the actual calf. I think they're putting a block further around the fishery for the anglers, so they haven't got to walk all the way back down. Big plans. Big plans with a lot of work going in. That was, before it come off, the world's smallest tench. Always nice to see that. These self-bred fish. He hasn't stocked the tench, that was in here originally. But they are quite happily spawning away every year. And with the increased amount of food going in, with more people fishing it, they're getting bigger as well. Last year we was catching them at, if you had 1/2 pound, them small tench, that was a decent one. But now we're getting them at over £1 a piece. As well as plenty of these boys. None of the big ones yet. But it is still really early. As I said, I got here stupidly early, crack of dawn. Squeezing the filming in before the end of the school run. So it is still very early. Probably 9:30, 10 o'clock. But we've already had tench, carp, billion perch. There's some big carp, some stockies. We've had a rogue tiny skimmer. Smallest one I've ever seen come out of here. Would be nice to get you a couple of them big ones though. But the conditions are definitely not ideal. Blazing hot sun. I am really tempted though, because we are only pleasure fishing and it may absolutely blow the peg to pieces. But I am really tempted to see if we can lure some bream in. Old school, putting in 4, 5, 6 big pots of ground bait. I've got a feeling by the time they did move in on it, if they did, it would be long gone. Gotta love a little Thomas. Nobody can ever be annoyed at catching a Thomas. Little bars of soap. Perfect little miniature. Try and hold him up for you. What I love about this style of fishing, you're just never going to know what you're going to get. Now what I would like to get though, that's one of them bream for you. Just flick the cameras back on as I've hooked this carp. I did try fishing for a bit to try and get you some bream munching, but as we feared, the conditions are not ideal, and with us pleasure fishing, it didn't take long for the carp to turn up. I'll show you this one. Have another feed and we'll see if we can snag you one of the bream. But we've had, I mean, I'm time limited today, I'll do the school running a bit, but we've had a dozen carp, various sizes, a tench up to £2, endless amounts of perch. All on a dead simple double maggot, treble maggot, double caster. Double caster's been again by far the best hook bait. Seems to pick out the better fish. Try and hold this one up for you. Although he did come in pretty quick, so I'm expecting him to be a bit lively. But it just shows a catch anything approach. Or he can just jump straight back in the lake like that. Just shows you an approach where you're aiming to catch anything will still work for the carp. So you haven't got to come here and sit on the tip, fish your bum line. If you're not into that type of fishing, you haven't got to do it to catch the bigger fish. They will move in eventually. Right, we're just going to try and get a decent fish to end on. As expected with the conditions, not the most ideal bream weather. I was hoping with the carp spawning, we'd be able to sneak one or two out. But I've pushed it to the wire in terms of time. If I missed the kids' end of term little presentation thing, my life won't be worth living. We've had plenty of action. We've had a bite of chuck, loads of small perch, loads of tench, ranging from about 4 ounce, 5 ounce, up into £2, just over £2. Plenty of carp. We've probably had a dozen carp, from stockies all the way up to small doubles. We've only been fishing, what, 4 hours if that. Brilliant day's fishing. Just wanted to give you all a rough insight into a little tactical method. Served me well over the past probably 5 or 6 weeks. Well, then carp are busy spawning. It's definitely something to think about. It catches everything. The carp will move in on it, as is proved today. And you can have a great day's sport with plenty of bites. Whatever this is, I think we'll finish on this. Probably a little tench, I think. Plenty of these and plenty of bites. Finished on that one. And if there is anything you want to see us cover, or different venues, tactics, whatever, just leave us a comment in the section below, and we'll do our best to sort it out for you. Oh, and if you can, please like and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I'll see you on the next one.